Hi, everyone. We want to get right to that news. That state of emergency in California with wildfires burning across the state. The death toll is now rising and the weather is not helping. Meteorologist Mel Griffin is here with me in studio taking a look at how this is all being affected. Mel, we have fires in the north, fires in the south, and the winds are not helping the situation.
That's right, and the winds are the worst part. That's really the biggest concern here. For the Northern California, the winds have actually died down. So that's a little bit of good news, but not so much in the south. Already this morning, 86-mile-per-hour wind gusts were reported in the San Diego mountains, and it is just going to continue. The Santa Ana wind event is still in effect right now. High wind warnings are in effect for gusts 60 to 80 miles per hour for parts of Southern California, and red flag warnings remain in effect from Los Angeles County all the way down to San Diego County. So we still have those very dry, gusty winds, the low humidity, and that Santa Ana wind event continues today. The gustiest winds today will continue into the afternoon hours, and by that time, by later this evening, those winds will eventually start to die down. So a little bit of good news, but it does stay very dry. Humidity 3 to only 8%, so humidity in the single digits. High wind warnings remain. It is just not a good situation to be fighting these fires right now.
Huge challenge for firefighters. And we often hear the term the Santa Ana winds during times like this. Explain what that means.
Yeah, so anytime you talk about fires, especially in Southern California, you talk about Santa Ana wind events. This is the worst situation to be battling these fires. And this is what actually creates the rapid fire growth in the first place. So when you have a high pressure situated over the Great Basin, so over the central to southern Rocky Mountains, it basically brings all of that airflow clockwise, right directly straight into Southern California. And as those strong winds move through the mountains, they rush through those mountains, they compress, they warm, they become even drier, and they move through at 60 to 80 miles per hour until they eventually hit the canyons. And that's when you have really dry, gusty winds basically funneling straight there.
The winds, one, helping to spread these fires, two, spreading them erratically because the winds sort of come and go in these gusts and directions that you can't predict, and they're making the atmosphere drier, which obviously does not help.
Exactly. All three of those things basically creates the disaster that these fire events have unfolded in Southern California.
Well, Mel, I want you to hang out for a second, but I want to go over to Olivia Smith. Olivia is actually in Southern California, and like I said, the fires are spread across the strait. But Olivia, I understand you're in Calabasas, where we're seeing the effects of these winds. Some homes are completely untouched, others completely devastated.
That's right. Out here you could see just across the street behind me over there, homes completely destroyed, and homes right across the street over here completely okay. Residents here had to evacuate last week, and evacuations were lifted this morning. I'm going to take you to speak with the resident right now. The reception's a little spotty out here.
Olivia, what are you seeing out there? How are some of these scenes playing out?
So I'm told that the reception is very spotty, but what we're seeing homes completely destroyed, completely burnt to the ground. And I have two residents here with me, Tyler and Melanie Turquand. And Tyler, you have been living here for a long time. What did you see when the fires hit Calabasas?
Actually, it started on Thursday. We were actually huddled up on the cul-de-sac here watching the ridge behind us. And we were kind of monitoring where the fire was coming, and it was actually working its way down the hill, and we thought once it works its way down the hill that we would escape. It never did that, so we stayed up all night Thursday night into Friday morning and watched the fire move across behind us here. And once it jumped the canyon and reached the canyon on the other side, we became a little concerned. My neighbor and I, Alan, ended up being on our roof the entire time, watering the roof down. And we felt that we were out of harm's way. No, we felt we were out of harm's way. So the fire line kind of was cruising down here on the top ridge, and it was blowing hard towards the ocean. And in a matter of minutes, it went from top of ridge, came down the ridge, and then up and over the homes here, and caught our tree on fire, melted our mailbox, caught our hill on fire, our front lawn on fire, and we went into a bit of a survivor mode. And I had my wife screaming at her that we had about 30 seconds to get out.
It felt like that.
Yeah, I jumped off the roof, we got in the car and drove through flames and got down to the bottom of the hill, put out some fires of homes on the bottom of that hill for a few minutes, and then kind of processed what we assumed that we had just lost our house. after time had gone by, we came back around the community, and my wife jumped out of the car because she saw someone walking up the street and asked if our home was okay. It was standing, so we decided to run back down here and fight for our home, and I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Right. Officials in the area say do evacuate when you need to. You can see their home is completely fine behind us, but I'm going to give you another view over here just across the street. The homes are completely destroyed, all in a row. And Tyler, you said you know the people who've been living in these homes.
Yes. You know, it's going to sound kind of odd, but I feel like I have a bit of survivor remorse. You know, I look at my window and all I see is burned out homes now, and so I feel horrible for some of these people, and many of them have lived in this community for as long as I have. I moved in '99, and so I've been going through their personal belongings or whatever has been left with them over the past few days, and it's been a challenge. And you know, I stayed to save my home, and although I'm proud of doing that, I regret the decision of coming back, because if I knew what I know now, I'm not sure I would have come back. I did not think I was going to make it off this roof based on what I saw, and I am eternally grateful for the firemen that gave me a quick crash course on how to fight fire with a garden hose. So yeah, it was an experience that I choose to never forget, but I am grateful, but I'm at a loss because my neighborhood got destroyed.
I'm told that the picture is frozen, but what we are seeing across from Tyler's home is completely burned down structures. The only thing that's left standing are chimneys, brick chimneys, but everything else right across the street is charred, trees are charred, and the mountains are charred. And it's that canyon back there across the street from Tyler's home where the Santa Ana winds came over to hit this neighborhood.
Yeah, Olivia, we're looking at some footage of the flames, you know, in the general area, firefighters trying desperately to fight them. And I mean, it just looks like a nearly impossible task. It's unbelievable to think what these people are going through. We really appreciate you being out there and you bringing us their story. Thank you. That was Olivia Smith for us from Calabasas. You know, and this is just the Southern California portion of that. That was the Woolsey fire, just one of several in Southern California right now. And then, of course, in Northern California, the Camp Fire has already become the deadliest in state history. I mean, this is why we're seeing a state of emergency across the entire state of California. And again, Mel, you talked about this, but that's one of the things we're seeing with these fires in both areas, actually, is that you'll see one home untouched and then you'll see an entire block devastated. I mean, in their case, they stayed to fight for their home, but in many cases, it's just because the wind comes and then goes. So what can people expect looking ahead? Can these firefighters expect some help from the weather?
Yeah, and you mentioned, you know, how you can see one home that is completely untouched and the other one just destroyed, and a lot of that has to do with how erratic these winds are. They can be moving one direction, the wind going so fast in that direction, and then completely shift direction in a moment's notice. And that's why they're so hard to fight these fires, because of these erratic winds and because of how fast they are going. But there is some good news on the way, according to the winds, is that it's going to be dying down each day. So today we have extreme fire weather threats because of those high wind warnings. Tomorrow it goes down a level. It goes down to critical fire weather threats in Southern California. So we are seeing those winds starting to decrease, and that's because that high pressure system is going to start weakening and pulling away from Southern California. So by tomorrow, we're looking at a little bit better situation. We're still going to be seeing the dry, gusty winds through tomorrow. Another Santa Ana wind event is expected, although not as severe, tonight into tomorrow afternoon. But after Wednesday, then we're looking at each day getting a little bit better. So even though the winds are going to be decreasing, they still could get some gusts over the next couple of days. The erratic and strong winds will be dying down. The conditions will be improving, but it's still going to be very dry. It's still going to be very humid, and we're not expecting rain for Southern California for at least the next week.
All right, so a mixed bag from the weather. All right, meteorologist Mel Griffin. Mel, thank you. That's the latest from us here at ABC News Live. Remember, you can get your headlines all day long at abcnews.com or check out your ABC News app. For ABC News Live, I'm Diane Macedo. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe.